Have you ever stopped to think about who truly deserves the title of the fastest hero in the DC universe? On one side, there's Superman, practically a synonym for absolute power. On the other, there's the Flash, a hero whose entire identity revolves around speed. This isn't just a debate about who can run faster, it's about how each of them reaches that insane level of speed and what it actually means within the DC universe itself. Before picking a winner, it's crucial to understand where their abilities come from and how they work. Even though both are capable of feats that defy logic, the source of their power is completely different. And that changes everything when we talk about limits, consistency, and maximum potential. Starting with Superman, his speed is part of the Kryptonian package, fueled by Earth's yellow sun radiation. Across his film adaptations, we see impressive displays of that ability. In Superman Returns, he travels planetary distances in a matter of minutes and flies effortlessly beyond Earth's atmosphere. In Man of Steel, his fight scenes showcase movements that are practically invisible to the human eye, with near-instant shifts between buildings and across entire cities. And in Justice League, there's a standout moment. Superman tracks and reacts to the Flash's movements during a critical scene, suggesting that his speed isn't just impressive, it's competitive even against the Scarlet Speedster. In the comics, the scale goes even further. There are stories where Superman surpasses the speed of light, crosses galaxies in short periods of time, and reacts to threats before they even fully unfold. However, this level of power often shifts depending on the narrative needs of the story. In some eras, he's portrayed as nearly limitless. In others, his abilities are scaled back to maintain dramatic balance. From a scientific standpoint, the speed of light in a vacuum is approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, nothing with mass can exceed that limit without breaking the known laws of physics. So when Superman is shown going beyond that barrier, we're clearly operating in the realm of speculative fiction. Still, within the internal rules of the DC universe, those feats are treated as possible, especially considering that his alien physiology doesn't follow human limitations. The big question, then, isn't just whether Superman can reach or even surpass the speed of light. It's how consistent that really is when compared to a character whose entire essence is, literally, to be the fastest of them all. And that's where things start to get really interesting. Now it's time to take a closer look at DC's true speed specialist, Barry Allen, the Flash. Unlike Superman, whose speed is a byproduct of his Kryptonian physiology, Barry is powered by something far more specific and far more dominant within DC lore, the Speed Force. This cosmic energy works almost like a fundamental field of the universe, a dimension that fuels all speedsters. It's not just a boost, it's a virtually limitless source of energy that allows the Flash to do far more than just run fast. He manipulates space, time, and even reality itself. One of the most striking examples of this happens in Flashpoint. In that storyline, Barry runs so fast that he travels back in time to prevent his mother's death. The result? A completely altered timeline with global consequences. Here, speed stops being simple physical movement and becomes a tool for rewriting reality. We're not just talking about breaking the light barrier, we're talking about breaking the flow of time itself. In the TV adaptation The Flash, that idea is reinforced again and again. Over multiple seasons, Barry exceeds the speed of light, creates temporal rifts, accesses parallel dimensions, and even enters the Speed Force as if it were a physical realm. The series makes it clear that his speed isn't bound by conventional limits. It evolves based on his emotional and mental connection to that energy. From a scientific perspective, all of this directly clashes with Einstein's theory of relativity, which states that no object with mass can reach, much less exceed, the speed of light. As an object approaches that limit, its effective mass would trend toward infinity, requiring infinite energy to continue accelerating. In real-world physics, that's impossible. But within DC's internal logic, the Flash isn't simply accelerating like a normal object. The Speed Force acts like a dimensional shortcut, allowing him to bypass those physical constraints. He isn't breaking physics, he's operating under a different set of rules entirely. The rivalry between Flash and Superman isn't just theoretical, it's been tested multiple times. In The Flash number 123, famously known as The Flash of Two Worlds, Barry Allen meets Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash. While it's not a direct race against Superman, the issue officially establishes the importance of speed within the DC multiverse and solidifies Barry as the ultimate benchmark among speedsters. Then in JLA/Avengers, we get a decisive moment. The Flash outruns Superman in a race. The story makes it clear that while Superman is incredibly fast, Barry taps into a higher layer of speed through the Speed Force. He doesn't just run, he transcends. Another major turning point happens in The Flash, Rebirth. After returning from the dead, Barry reveals an even deeper mastery of his connection to the Speed Force. He isn't just someone who uses that energy, he's its primary anchor. The story reinforces that his speed continues to grow, pushing past limits that once seemed absolute. When you weigh everything, the difference becomes clear. Superman is extremely fast enough to compete. But the Flash isn't just fast. He is the very definition of speed within the DC universe. And when the contest involves breaking absolute barriers like time and reality, that distinction matters. Their rivalry didn't start yesterday. The first official race took place in 1967, in Superman number 199. What makes it interesting is that it wasn't about proving superiority. The goal was to raise money for charity. Two of the greatest heroes on Earth racing around the world, not out of ego, but for a good cause. The result? A tie. They crossed the finish line almost simultaneously. The footage had to be reviewed to determine who arrived first, and even then, the conclusion was clear. Technically, it was a draw. The message was simple. Both were incredibly fast, and the gap between them was nearly impossible to measure. That charity race formula returned several times in the comics, but that initial tie never happened again. Over time, DC gradually shifted public perception of their speed, making it increasingly clear that when it came to pure acceleration, the Flash had the edge. Decades later, the concept was revived in a new storyline released in 2019. Once again, the premise was simple yet massive: 10 laps around the planet, broadcast live on television, framed as a global fundraising marathon. It wasn't just a race, it was a worldwide event. As expected, the Flash takes the lead right away. That's the pattern. He's the speedster. Superman follows closely behind, trying to close the gap. To viewers watching live, it looks like it might end in another razor-thin finish, maybe even another symbolic tie. But there's one detail that changes everything. Lex Luthor isn't watching as an ordinary spectator. He analyzes, calculates, and projects outcomes. He concludes that Superman is going to lose and decides to raise the stakes. Luthor publicly announces that he'll donate $1 billion to charity, but only if Superman wins. The strategy is obvious. He believes Superman won't catch the Flash. That way, he won't have to donate anything, and the public will be left disappointed, possibly even blaming Superman for failing to secure that massive contribution. What Luthor doesn't account for is one crucial detail. Superman has super hearing. Mid-race, he hears the announcement. He instantly understands what's at stake. This is no longer just a friendly competition. It's $1 billion that could change lives. Money coming straight out of Lex Luthor's bank account. Superman faces a silent dilemma. He could alert the Flash, explain what's happening, maybe find a strategic way to guarantee the outcome. But that would mean manipulating the race, and he refuses to do that. He chooses to win the right way. That decision is key to understanding who Superman really is. He's not running out of pride. He's not trying to prove he's the fastest. He runs because he believes that if he crosses that finish line first, more people will be helped. So he does something rare, even for him. He pushes past his own limits. Superman accelerates beyond anything he had shown up to that point. He taps into every reserve, every ounce of strength, every fragment of power granted to him by Earth's yellow sun. The final stretch approaches. The Flash is still in the lead. After all, there's no ordinary competition for the Speed Force. But Superman closes the gap. Meter by meter, he narrows the distance. And in the final instant, he crosses the finish line just slightly ahead. Superman wins. No direct interference. No cheating, just resolve, effort, and purpose. Lex Luthor has no way out. The $1 billion must be donated. DC's message in that story is clear. Under normal circumstances, when we're talking about pure speed, the Flash is faster, and he always will be. He is the embodiment of the Speed Force. But when Superman runs driven by something greater than himself, when every step represents a chance to protect and help millions, he reaches a level very few can touch. It's not just about speed. It's about why you're running in the first place. From a scientific standpoint, the so-called Speed Force is purely fictional, a narrative device created to justify the Flash's extraordinary feats. In real-world physics, Surpassing the speed of light would require infinite energy, something fundamentally incompatible with the laws of relativity. A body with mass, like a human being, simply cannot accelerate indefinitely without facing impossible physical consequences. Within comic book logic, however, the explanation is different. The Speed Force operates almost like a fundamental field in the DC universe, an extra dimension that allows the Flash to bypass traditional physical constraints. Instead of just running faster, he manipulates time, space, and even probability. Many of his abilities echo ideas explored in theoretical physics, such as time dilation and the possibility of extra dimensions. While those concepts exist in scientific discussion, they remain purely theoretical and certainly don't allow someone to circle the globe in seconds. Who is the fastest? After examining the feats, the stories, and the internal logic of the DC universe, the answer is straightforward. The Flash is the fastest. Barry Allen's connection to the Speed Force places his speed on a different level. It's not just about bigger numbers or winning a specific race. It's structural within DC mythology. The Flash is the living representation of speed. His entire existence revolves around it. That doesn't diminish Superman. He remains incredibly fast, capable of keeping up with the Flash in multiple situations and, in specific moments, like the charity race manipulated by Lex Luthor, even surpassing him when pushed to his absolute limit. But those are narrative exceptions. Under normal conditions, when we're talking about maximum potential and absolute mastery of speed, the title belongs to the Scarlet Speedster. It's also worth remembering that comics and movies don't always follow rigid rules. Continuity shifts. Writers adjust powers to fit the needs of the story, and that can create different versions of what each character is capable of. In some arcs, the race feels balanced. In others, the Flash's advantage is unmistakable. Still, the official stance across most interpretations points in the same direction. Barry Allen is one step, or rather, millions of steps, ahead. In the end, this rivalry isn't just about who crosses the line first. It works because it places two different concepts of power side by side. A hero whose strength comes from his alien nature, and another who channels a cosmic energy that rewrites the rules of the universe. Now the question comes back to you. Does it make sense to definitively call the Flash the fastest? Or do you believe that Superman, at his absolute best, can still surprise us? Share your thoughts. This debate has been alive for decades, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon.